Welcome to this week's case review. My name is Shane Smith, and I'm here today with one of the attorneys from Shane Smith Law, Dan Perrico, and we're going to talk about one of his recently settled cases, Miss V. So Dan, tell me a little bit about Miss V.
Sure. So Miss V is a mother of two, wonderful woman, hardworking. She's 53 years old and unfortunately suffered some horrible injuries in a car accident. It was actually a car versus pedestrian, which led her to contact us.
Okay. And so she was walking along. Was she on the side of a street in a crosswalk, or how'd she get hit by this driver?
Great question. So let me take you through the case a little bit in terms of how the accident actually occurred. So Miss V was driving down the road, had some car problems later at night, had to pull off the road, ended up getting out of the car and walking down the road because her cell phone wasn't working. So she had to go for help. Okay. Unfortunately, on this particular road, it was a no pedestrians allowed type of road. So she was illegally walking down the road when a car came along, smacked into her going about 35 miles an hour, throwing her off the road into a ditch where she sat until an ambulance came to throw her into the squad and take her over to the hospital. Wow. So yeah, it was a late at night, bad accident. And unfortunately, it was one that the insurance company came and said, hey, look, she shouldn't have been walking along the side of the road, and therefore we're not going to pay anything on this claim. Now,
how'd you fix that?
Well, as with any case, it takes time to fix something like that. In this particular case, which had actually been reviewed by a few attorneys before it came to us, surprisingly enough, they had declined to take this case. And when we looked at it, we said, okay, what will we do if this was one of our family members, right? This is one of those cases where you go, okay, so we've got an uphill legal battle,
right?
But here's a woman who's been significantly hurt. Does it seem fair that just because she was walking along a road she wasn't supposed to be walking along, that she should have to suffer with these injuries? And the injuries were significant. Let me run through those real quick for you so we have some idea of what we're talking about. These injuries included a fractured hip, a broken tibia, fractured fibula. She had a cracked disc in her back. She ended up with pins and rods in her body. So we're looking at this case going, hey, look, yeah, maybe she was walking along a road she shouldn't have been, but what would you have done? What would you have said if that was your mom or your sister or your grandma, whatever it might be? And so when we looked at it, we said, okay, we're going to fight this one. And in order to fight this one, first thing you do in any case is you pull the accident report. Now, if you've never seen an accident report or seen a diagram on an accident report, you got to look at it. And in this particular case, I actually printed out just the diagram. So I'm gonna hold it up here to the camera so that you can see it. And if you take a look at this accident report, all you see is a car with a stick figure in front of it. This is what we had to work with when we got this case. So in order to combat something like that, you have to start by building the case. And in any case, I tell every client, as do you, most important thing to do is get better. Yeah. Get your treatment, get into the hospital, get into the doctor. And that's what this client did. And how we built the case was based upon her medicals, her bills, her records, her injuries. We put everything together and presented it to the insurance company and basically said, we're willing to go to trial. Your insured may have to face the consequences if we don't resolve this case. And we put the pressure on the insurance company. We make them feel the pressure so that they have to go, okay, we need to make a choice here. Do we roll the dice? Do we want to go to trial against Dan and Shane Smith Law Firm, or do we want to just kind of resolve this case so that our insured doesn't face any true risk? And because we were able to build such a good case against the insurance company to say, hey, look, here's the medicals, here's the injuries, and what I like to say, the common sense test, which is if you were in a room full of people and you proposed this case, you have a woman walking down the road that's hit by the car, would you find the car at fault or the woman at fault? And if you get 85% of the room going, well, common sense, you're driving the car, you hit somebody along the road, that's your fault. That's how you present it to the insurance company. It's a common sense approach but it's built based upon lots of work, lots of evidence, lots of medical bills and records and treatment for the client. And that's what we were able to do in this case. And at the end of the day, by presenting the case in the way that we did, we were able to get the maximum recovery from the insurance company.
Wow, it sounds like good work, and it sounds like I always like the cases that come to us, and obviously I prefer to get cases, first lawyer to take a look at it. But I always really enjoy the cases we take that other firms turn down, and then we get the maximum recovery we can get from the insurance company on that policy. I mean, it makes me feel good because I feel like those are huge wins because other people said we can't even help you at all.
Yeah, and that's the great feeling is when you take a case and you win what other people said were unwinnable, and the client comes back to you, and especially in this case, the client was extremely thankful. She didn't think she would ever see a recovery whatsoever, and as it turned out, she had a great recovery. And I mean, she suffered some serious injuries, but the recovery she got, and in her situation, it'll be life-changing for her. It'll actually allow her to carry on and live her life like she needs to.
That sounds like wonderful work, Dan, and a great result for your client. And like I say, I'm so happy she gave us a second or third bite at her case, when everybody else said it was unwinnable. And then you turn around and get her, maximum recovery, maximum insurance policy, recovery there. So great work. Is there anything you learned from this case you're going to use in the future other than, keep fighting on some of these things when, the people say you can't win?
Well, and I think that's the one thing that everyone can take away from a case like this is the cases that seem unwinnable, well, perhaps they are winnable with the right attorney on your side.
Well, great work, Dan, and I'm so happy you got a great result for Mrs. V. It sounds like a terrible situation, but the best result we can have, and great work.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And to our listeners, I'd say thanks for listening. Remember, if you're in pain, call Shane 980-999-9999, or you can order our free book, The Victim Survivor Guide to Car Accidents, at shanesmithlaw.com. We'll be going over another case next week, so look forward to seeing you there.
980-999-9999. 980-999-9999. Shane Smith Law. In pain, call Shane.